Alright guys, it's all about benzoin today, and if you're a fan of vanillic fragrances and also the resins, then you definitely need to know about benzoin if you don't know what benzoin is. So today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about benzoin, cut to a video I did with Dana about resins and balsams, discussing benzoin, and then also tell you 6 of my favorite benzoin fragrances. So if you want to find out these 6 fragrances and also learn a little bit about benzoin, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. If this is your first time tuning into the channel and you love watching fragrance reviews, finding out about new fragrances, discovering new brands, and of course participating in giveaways and still haven't subscribed, please click that subscribe button below and also click the bell so you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. So I love resinous fragrances, but there is one resinous note that I really like called benzoin. The reason I love benzoin is it's because it's vanillic and sweet and very, very cozy and comforting, but still it's very resinous. So it has the qualities of resins like frankincense, myrrh, and things like that. But this one does go, benzoin does go vanillic, which I love. I love sweet fragrances because I love eating sweet things, and that's probably why I love gourmand fragrances. And benzoin can get very, very sweet. And what is benzoin? Benzoin is a balsamic resin obtained from the bark of several species of trees in the genus Styrax. So Styrax is also a node that's used in perfumes, and some of these fragrances that we're going to talk about today mention Styrax. So it comes from the same tree, but they're completely different. We'll learn a little bit more about Styrax in another video, but today we're going to talk about benzoin, and I'm going to cut to our video, or my video with Dana, and then we'll come back and I'll tell you my 6 favorite benzoin fragrances. So moving on to benzoin.
Is that what we're doing next?
We are doing benzoin next, my favorite resin, next to the frankincense.
Benzoin is friendly. Benzoin, I think, is very beautiful because it doesn't need anything to be liked. Although I have to say it's the ugliest of all, though.
Looks really ugly.
Did you see that thing?
That thing was ugly. It looked like a flat
old
ambergris.
Old poop. I was going to say old bird poop. Yeah.
Can I touch that thing?
Yeah, you touched it. You can chew it too.
I don't want to chew it.
So this comes from the Styrax family. So the Styrax that you see on Fragrantica with like pellets of black thing that looks like flint or like
shredded coffee beans.
Same family.
Really?
Yes.
So it goes from black to white?
Well,
not white, but gray.
That one is processed differently and it comes from a different tree, but it's the same family, just like Pero and Tolu are.
Okay.
The regular benzoin looks like this. Close your eyes because it wouldn't take my... Nope. It's basically like a gray thing of dust. The ones that we use are 2 kinds, either from Siam, which is more used in perfumery than the other one.
What's the other one?
Sumatra, which is an island in the
where coffee comes from.
There you go, in Java, around there, Luwak, now you know all of the Arizulodore stuff, that's where Sumatra is, and Borneo and orangutans, yes, that's where it's coming from. The Sumatran one is still very much in use, and they produce tons of it, but more for medicinal purposes. And this, again, for animals. So if you're a pet owner, a lot of the naturalistic the things for fleas, for hemorrhoids, indigestion too. So the whole track is taken care of.
Do we know when benzoin was started being used in perfumes?
Nope.
Do you know about Papier d'Armenie?
I know Papier d'Armenie.
It's benzoin, right?
It is benzoin. Do you know that did you know that Kurkdjian did a celebratory edition and he published his recipe for Papier d'Armenie?
No, I did not know this. Figures he would do it.
Right. Makes sense.
I absolutely love that smell.
Yeah, so and it's easy to make. You just get pulp. Pulp of paper.
Wow.
And
do you know how to make it?
Yeah, you want to try?
Let's do it on camera one day.
Alright, we're doing Papier d'Armenie, or Armenian paper. Carta d'Armenia. Alright.
So have you used this stuff from Santa Maria Novella?
I have. And
there's a cheaper one that's in France. It's at the drugstores and things. It's like 2 euros.
France and Italy. Yeah, you can find it pretty easily. So the smell of benzoin, do you want to describe it since it's your favorite?
Well, it's very vanillic. It's resins, but there's not a lot of smokiness to it. It's more very vanillic, and I'm a lover of vanilla, and that's what I like about it. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. It's just a vanillic resin without the smokiness. But what do you get from it?
Same thing. It's sweet. It's a little bit creamy.
It's sweet, yes.
It's comfortable. It's
It's cozy. It's very cozy.
Yeah, it's the most comfortable. I think of at least these 5 that we have here. Not that the cat oil or whatever the other ones are friendly, because they're not, or Styrax. But this is a more comfortable.
Yeah, and the Papier d'Harmonie is based on the Benzoin resin, and of course Guerlain has Bois d'Harmonie. It's based on the Papier d'Harmonie benzoin resin. Thank you for watching that video. So let's move on and talk to you about the 6 fragrances in my collection that are featuring or focused on the benzoin note. And we're going to start off with a cheapie from the house of Yves Rocher. This is Sable Fauve, this one right here. Now I've been talking a lot about this one recently and featuring it in videos and things like that. I'm going to quickly spray this on a strip because I can't have all these scents on me. So just to remind me of the way the fragrances smell. So Sable Fauve is from the house of Yves Rocher. I don't see any stores here in this in the USA that sell these, or actually standalone Yves Rocher or Yves Rocher stores, but there is a USA website and they usually have these for 50% off. Its suggested retail is $85, so you can get it for a lot less. Now this one, to me, it's all about tonka beans, labdanum, and benzoin. The 3 together are great. It's an oriental fragrance, of course. It's utilizing notes that are in oriental style perfumes, and the notes that are oriental style perfumes are tonka beans. Well, not tonka beans in general, but labdanum and benzoin are definitely notes that are found in that style fragrance. For me, this one is very resinous with the benzoin and balsamic, and it's got a lot of ambery touches, and it's got a little bit of that nuttiness that tonka beans are known for, and it makes for a great trio of notes to create this beautiful fragrance. For me, this one actually is very benzoin-like. There's a lot of sweet touches from that benzoin note, along with slight smoky touches with the labdanum, which is known to create a amber accord. So it's a great, I mean, if you don't know much about benzoin and you want to, kind of like jumpstart your education, because this is the cheapest out of all of the fragrances I'm going to talk to you about today, you can kind of go with something inexpensive like this because you can wait for their sales. And in fact, I just checked on their website and they were having a 50% off. So this is about $42 something. You can start with a fragrance like this, get it, and then start learning a little bit about what kind of a smell benzoin would be, and moving on or graduating to more expensive fragrances that might feature this note. But I find this to be great. Out of the 3 that I bought from these from this house that I did a video about, I find this one to be the longest lasting, and this is the kind of style of fragrance that lasts a long time on me. It's big, it's bright, it's resinous, it's ambery, it's vanillic, of course. There's something very glossy and sheen about it, but very hefty and long-lasting. So I really enjoy this one, Sable Fauve from Yves Rocher. That's the first one we're going to talk to you about today. And moving on to the House of YSL, which I don't speak a lot about. This is Caftan, this one right here. This is from YSL's Le Vestiaire collection. And this is a 120 ml bottle, not your typical 100 ml bottles. And I can't remember the price of this one, but it's definitely over $250 for this. Somewhere around $250 to $300 for 120 mLs of juice. So Caftan is I don't know when the Yves Rocher was launched this year, but the Caftan was launched in 2015, I believe. This is from memory. So Caftan to me is a smoky benzoin. So it has a benzoin note, it has frankincense. There we go with the labdanum. And this one also has that Styrax note. So it's 2 different types of species or things they're creating from one tree. So the benzoin comes from the Styrax tree, and then the Styrax note comes from the Styrax. So a very, very unique tree. So this also has the Styrax, as I mentioned, musk, clementine, pink pepper. For me, this one starts off a very frankincense-y. It's very smoky, like very church-like smoke, and then it sweetens up and sweetens up and sweetens up, and it gets sweeter because of the the benzoin note developing and becoming more prominent. The smokiness does wear off, but it becomes more of a combo of the benzoin and the frankincense. And then, of course, it also has the labdanum in here, the Styrax. It's a smoky, musky, ambery experience. You get a little bit of that Clementine note as well. It brightens things up. It makes it a little citrusy. Of course, I'm smelling it here. It's very benzoiny, but it's also very incensey and ambery. It's a great scent. This is actually, I should take back. I've said some really bad things about YSL. I don't really care for a lot of their fragrances, but I'm finding their Le Vestiaire collection of fragrances to be pretty darn good. So if you like the idea of benzoin, vanillic, incensey, churchy, things like that, this one definitely comes to mind. So it's not a straight in-your-face incense because it has the sweetness from the benzoin and of course the ambery touches from the labdanum here. So if you like that combo, it might be better than just going with something that smells like church in your face. But it does start out very smelling very much like a church, and then it sweetens up, as I was saying. So that's Caftan from YSL, 120 ml bottle. Next, going to the house of Le Labo, and it's Benjoin or Benjoin 19. So I've heard benzoin pronounced benzoin and Benjoin or Benjoin. So this is Benjoin or Benjoin 19 from the house of Le Labo. Le Labo's city exclusive for Moscow. And I fell in love with this quite early on in my journey, and I wanted a bottle all along. And I finally have a bottle from a few years ago when the city exclusives came to San Francisco, Le Labo, not Le Labo, Barney's Boutique. So I bought a bottle of it, and I quite enjoy it, but it's not my favorite benzoin fragrance, sadly. I think I enjoyed it earlier on more than I'm enjoying it currently. But it's definitely a fragrance that has very Le Labo-like DNA, and it's also a very pricey fragrance, guys. The Le Labo City exclusives are overpriced personally. I don't think this is worth the price, but I was really obsessed with this fragrance. That's why I had to have it. So this one has notes of Olibanum for the incense note. It's Olibanum and frankincense are very similar to me smell-wise. Benzoin, cedarwood, amber, musk, and I also get a major dose of patchouli here that's not mentioned. That's kind of one of the reasons why I like this one. It's kind of like a fusion of the smokiness from the Olibanum, the sweetness from the benzoin, and something like patchouli in here that's not mentioned here. So it's nothing like the previous two that we smelled. It has its own unique characteristic, but in the end, when you put your nose in there and then focus on the smell, you pick up the benzoin note. It is all about the benzoin note, and also it's also about the Olibanum note. So it's kind of like a equally balanced benzoin and Olibanum fragrance. And again, Olibanum to me smells like frankincense, so this is another one of those smoky fragrances with benzoin. The other thing I want to mention before I move on to the next fragrance, this one's not no, this one is the least sweetest to me as far as sweetness goes from the benzoin. So I feel like they've removed all the sweet touches. I mean, it's still sweet, but it's not as sweet as the other ones come in the next few fragrances I'm going to mention, and the previous two. And this one reminds me of one other fragrance that's on the list a little bit, but I like the other one a little more. But anyway, Benjoin or Benzoin 19 from the house of Le Labo. Next up is a fragrance, probably the first benzoin dominant fragrance I wore from the house of Guerlain, Art at La Matière collection, and this is Bois de Harmonie. This is my one of my favorite fragrances from this collection, and I love this one because it's a very unique fragrance as far as resinous fragrance goes. Of course, it's all about the benzoin note, and it has the name Bois de Harmonie, which if you know how to translate it, you can figure out what that means. And this I love a lot. It is so good, but the next two are even more favorites, and I hate these bottles, by the way. I'm so glad that Guerlain's not doing these bottles anymore, because the spraying with these bottles is the worst. It doesn't spray very well, and you lose a lot of juice. But with this one, oh man, it's so good. This is all about benzoin. It's got a creamy Guaiac wood there. There's incense in here. There's definitely incense touches. Iris, Copahu balm, and patchouli, but beautiful fragrance. I wore so much of this one. For me, this one, it's all about the benzoin. There's a sparkly golden oriental kind of a experience, but the incense is there, it's under there, but if I compare it to something like the YSL Caftan, which is really incensey, and then also the Labo, which is less sweet, not as sweet as this, the incense for me here is not as much as the Labo and the YSL, but you can still smell it. It's nicely meshed. It's nicely meshed with the benzoin in here. But for me, this one, the iris, gives it like a powdery effect to the benzoin and incense. And then that Copahu balm also gives it a very sexy quality. In fact, this also has that patchouli note in here. It's a one-of-a-kind fragrance. This would be number 3 ranked here in this list. Of course, I'm giving you these fragrances in my ranking order. So, of course, this is number 3. The only other thing I want to mention about this one is it's inspired by the Papier de Harmonie incense papers. I'm not sure if you're familiar with that, but that's what this fragrance was inspired from. It's something they use in France, and you just basically light it, and it smells like benzoin incense, and that's where the fragrance comes from. At least that's what I've read. Anyway, that's Bois de Harmonie from the house of Guerlain. I do hear rumors that it might be only like a Guerlain exclusive. I'm not sure if it's available at all Guerlain retailers, but I do have it and I love it. All right, well, next one, we're going to the house of Maison Francis Kurkdjian, and I've spoken a lot about this fragrance recently. This is Absolue pour le Soir, this one right here. Now, this one is a combo of honey and benzoin, and this one also has incense, sandalwood. It has some rose and it's cedar and cumin. Very, very sexy. I think the honey is sweet, the benzoin is sweet, and the combo is very ambery. There's a major, major ambery component here with this one, and that's what I love about it. I have compared it to Mitza, and I have compared it to Serge Lutens Ambre Sultan. Mitza is from Dior, but I find this one to be more about honey and benzoin rather than amber, but it is definitely ambery. It's very, very ambery. But the only thing that's not mentioned here is that animalic musky note that I pick up in here. Very, very sexy animalic musky note, and it's one of those fragrances that you wear, and if you like musk, for example, something like a Kiehl's musk, I get that in here, or Musk Ravageur, it's definitely in here. But it's a very unique combo of notes, because I never thought of putting benzoin with something like honey, and then adding that musky quality to the fragrance. Sadly, this is a boutique exclusive, but it's definitely worth hunting down. It's great. And if you, you should watch my comparison video, this with Grand Soir. I find them both great, completely different ambers, but just to find out more about this fragrance. But if you like the idea of a musky fragrance, something like the musk from Kiehl's musk, or more animalic like Musk Ravageur, and you like the idea of the cumin and then the benzoin and the honey, this is definitely one to try. It's absolutely phenomenal. I love wearing it, and especially now in the just before winter kicks in and it's cold outside, rainy, this one is gonna give you like a nice comforting hug, a perfume hug. Anyway, that is Maison Francis Kurkdjian Absolue pour le Soir. My second favorite benzoin fragrance. Awesome stuff. Musky. I think the reason I didn't qualify that as number 1 is because there's a lot more going on than just benzoin. Like the musk quality just dominates the whole benzoin experience, and I don't just quite think it's a benzoin fragrance. So, but it is benzoin and honey at the more prominent notes in that fragrance. Anyway, my number 1 favorite benzoin fragrance is from the house of Diptyque, called Benjoin Boheme. So this one, it does have a little bit of a hint of the Labo Benjoin 19, but this one's so much better, and it's much less priced. Although it is pricier, this one's definitely over $200 for a 100 ml, but very, very gorgeous bottle, as you can see. When it's filled, it's even more gorgeous. This bottle is just beautiful, and this one came out like 3 years ago. It's benzoin, you got patchouli, there we go with the patchouli, sandalwood, styrax, and angelica. Now, as I said with the Labo, I get a very patchouli-like quality, but there's no patchouli credited here. Here it is very, very prominent, and I can totally pick it up. Now, what is the deal with benzoin for me? I find benzoin to be a very comforting fragrance, but this one like takes the cake. Like, this is the most comforting of, well, no, I shouldn't say that, but I just feel like with this one I get that comforting vibe, very, very relaxing and cozy, something I want to put on and just sit in the corner and watch TV or listen to music, sip some coffee or tea or something. That's the kind of a fragrance these are, but this one just definitely is my #1 favorite Benzoin fragrance. There's really something sexy about it. I think that patchouli adds this sexy layer. It's just something that I keep wanting to wear. I go to bed with this one a lot. I sleep with it and it smells great. It's just nice smelling myself wearing that combo of benzoin, patchouli, sandalwood. The Styrax is in here as well. And the Angelica note is in here. It's really, really great note that I'm starting to fall in love with. But just falling asleep to that smell, just relaxing. I love that about this fragrance. It's just an amazing fragrance. It's sadly not a lot of people talk about it, and also not very readily available. So it's available at Diptyque's website or on Diptyque's website and the Diptyque boutiques. Or maybe I've never seen it at Nordstrom, and Nordstrom carries Diptyque. Barney's has Diptyque also. They don't carry it, so it's going to be a little more difficult to find. But man, this is great. Now, benzoin, I find it to be like a gourmand for the non-gourmand lover. It is sweet and it is vanillic, but it's definitely not a gourmand, but I find them to be very nice and sweet and very cozy. Anyway, that's my favorite out of all the benzoin fragrance, Benjoin Boheme. Amazing fragrance. If you don't know it, please do check it out. You're gonna love it, especially if you like sweeter fragrances, resinous, vanillic fragrances. Love, love, love this stuff. Anyway, that's Benjoin Boheme by Diptyque. Guys, thanks so much for watching this video today, and let me know your thoughts about this note, benzoin, Benjoin, and your experience with Benjoin. Have you tried these fragrances that I've spoke about today? Are you a fan of this note? Do you like the idea of benzoin? Do you know what resins are? If you want to find out more about resins and balsams, I'll have that link to the long resins and balsams video I did with Dana. And perhaps you can also check out my top 20 resinous and balsamic fragrances video. If you have any questions or comments today, please put it down. Otherwise, please like this video. Please share it. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.